Theft protection's become a very dominant product these days in our marketplace. Currently, anti-theft devices make up about a $9 billion a year annual business in the United States of America alone, and it is growing at leaps and bounds. The average theft deterrent device today is costing somewhere in the area of $650. Today, window etching, traceable ID numbers placed on a vehicle have proven to be one of the most effective theft deterrent devices in our marketplace. In fact, Travelers Insurance Group had concluded that the traceable ID numbers on the glass of an automobile are 64% effective in the reduction of theft. And if it wasn't effective in the reduction of theft, that the vehicle would have an 85% chance of recovery versus a 33% chance of recovery. That's a pretty strong statistic coming from an insurance company on a product that's typically marketed somewhere in the area of $199 to $299 for the customer against the other products being marketed in this $9 billion annual business that are costing on average of $650. If you put this in perspective, traceable ID numbers, known as theft protection, are about 1/3 the cost at $199 than the average theft deterrent device, and are one of the most effective theft deterrent devices existing in the marketplace today. And in fact, a study done many years ago in the state of Kentucky by the state police, they marked the glass of 125,000 vehicles over a 3-year study. What they found over 3 years, based on their own crime rate, is there should have been 800 vehicles stolen in that 3-year time frame. But of the traceable IDs marked on the 125,000 vehicles, in that 3 years, only 3 cars were stolen and 2 cars were recovered in the first day. That's why the state of Connecticut now mandates, as a House bill, that the theft deterrent policies, window etching if you will, traceable ID numbers on a vehicle, are required by state law, both new and used vehicles, to be offered at the time of sale. The customer does not buy the policy in the state of Connecticut, they're required to sign a waiver stating that it was made available. Theft deterrent device today, window etching, has proven to be very, very effective. Again, price-wise, it's the same whether it's a Cavalier or a Corvette. It's the same customer-wise regardless of the price. Policy benefits range somewhere in the area of $2,500 to $5,000. Some policies pay additional benefits like roadside assistance, emergency travel funds when you're more than 200 miles away from home. They pay an additional amount of money towards your deductible. If your vehicle were to be stolen, there's an additional dollar amount applied to your deductible. In many cases, the policies will provide you with a rental car where you're going through the inconvenience. And in fact, in many cases, when you think about theft protection, the window etching today, the only form of gap in many cases that you could get on a cash deal. When you write a cash deal and a customer pays for that vehicle in the event of theft, a policy written today could pay him up to $5,000 towards replacing that vehicle. Moreover, if the customer financed the vehicle, bought gap on the policy, gap will only pay the difference between what he owes and what the vehicle's worth at time of loss. If the customer had put $1,000 down, applied $1,000 deductible, and had $2,000 in equity in the car that he had traded, when he purchased the car, he had $4,000 invested. And if his car were to be stolen, gap will pay the deficit between what's owed and what it's worth at the time of loss. Gap will not give him his $4,000 back at the time of loss. In fact, in many cases, you could refer to it as a form of an equity rider. In the event of theft, it will go over and above your gap and pay you up to $5,000 towards replacing your vehicle at the original selling dealer. Theft protection today has grown significantly, and when you put it in perspective, in the industry that's a $9 billion a year industry, it's a solid value, because best of all, the product's going to cost the customer somewhere in the area of $3 to $4 on their monthly payment and provide them in benefits in excess of many cases of $7,000. It's a small amount of money the customer ends up having to spending for a pretty huge benefit at the time of loss.